Hey, what up, YouTube? I want to make this video real quick, going over two things. Um, First is finding a realtor. And then second, looking into IHDA and the benefits they have for Illinois residents looking for a home. So first, looking for a realtor. This is what I would say. You want to find a realtor who clearly serves the area that you're looking to move. I mean, that's just kind of common sense at times. It's just one of those things where it's like, for instance, I'm in the Chicagoland area. So if you're not familiar with Chicago or any of the surrounding suburbs, let's say I look up Evanston, Illinois. So Evanston, north suburb of Chicago. I want to say it actually directly borders Chicago. I'm pretty sure it does, right? This is Evanston, right? I'm looking for a home, a house. I just want to look at the lowest price, right? The lowest price, $269,900. And I'm like, clearly this house is going to need work. Then we got $285,000. Seems livable for the most part. $289,900. Livable, actually kind of nice. But, this is Evanston, Illinois, right? I'm probably going to want a real estate agent who literally services Evanston or who's from Evanston. There's certain things I'm looking for, right? Like maybe that agent was born and raised, or they serve, they're based out of Skokie. Okay, that works. Skokie, Evanston, that works. Wilmette, Evanston, that works, right? I'm not gonna find an agent who, for the most part, serves, helps find houses out in Elgin, right? That would make sense. Like, here's Evanston, here's Elgin. The big thing about agents a lot of times, or who people end up going with for their agent, a lot of times it's either a family member or a friend. Almost everybody has somebody in their family who is connected to real estate in some type of way. Maybe you know somebody in your family who practices law and they just so happen to do real estate law or something like that, as their side gig, right? Or maybe you got a brother, sister, aunt, uncle, cousin, somebody who is a real estate agent. Or maybe you have a family member that works for a lending company. Almost 9 times out of 10, some way, somehow, whatever the degrees of separation may be, somebody that's in the real estate world. That's just kind of how it is in 2023. Somebody. But like I said, that common sense thing, you want to find somebody that is familiar with what you're looking at. It does not make sense to have an agent that is way more familiar with Schaumburg, Hoffman Estates, maybe even Arlington Heights, Streamwood, right? I'm not going to drag that agent all the way over to South Loop to look at condos, right? They might not necessarily know as much about that area compared to, guess what, a real estate agent that does the South Loop. Somebody that maybe does the South Loop, West Loop. They kind of do just condos in general. Like, I mean, of course, they probably do more than just condos, but they realize the demographic, who they're working with, and the properties they're looking at, right? So that's one thing. That does not necessarily mean you can't have your agent go look at properties in the city of Chicago with you, but you just have to keep that in mind. For instance, agent I was working with, great agent, can recommend. If you really need one, just hit me up, let me know. Agent I was working with, her expertise was Evergreen Park. Why Evergreen Park? Because she lives in Evergreen Park. Her brokerage that she works for, I'm pretty sure their location is based out of Evergreen Park. If not Evergreen Park, it might have been Oaklawn, but I'm pretty sure it was Evergreen Park. She grew up in Evergreen, so she knows Evergreen Park. There are things I learned about Evergreen Park from her because she is Evergreen Park. You know what I'm saying? Like Evergreen Park, for instance, it is set up in quadrants, right? If 95th is the dividing line going east and west, Kedzie is the dividing line going north and south. So you have a northeast quadrant, southeast quadrant, southwest quadrant, and northwest quadrant, right? Like I said, my agent can tell me the demographics of the different areas, which areas are more sought after, why is it more sought after, all of those things, right? Southwest quadrant is very sought after. Why? Because you could literally move over here and you could end up down the street from multiple Catholic schools, right? You also have, I want to say, what was it, St. Xavier University that was over here. So even though this is Evergreen Park is neighbored to the south by Mount Greenwood, which is actually Chicago. So it's kind of weird that you have Chicago going all around here. Like it literally from the north to the east to the south, all that is Chicago. And then to the west is Oaklawn, which is another suburb, right? But this little patch right here, this is all Chicago technically, but this little patch right here is all Catholic schools. It's private schools. I want to say it's Brother Rice. I believe it's Brother Rice, Mother McCauley, St. Xavier University, like all those things. So that makes the southwest quadrant of Evergreen Park highly sought after, right? That's how it's viewed. The northwest quadrant is also another one a lot of people like, right? It's not saying that, oh, there's one that's better than the other, but when it comes to, okay, where are people trying to get a house? Like I said, you got some people who are trying to be closer to 95th than they are to 87th. You got some people who are trying to be closer to 103rd, or they're trying to be closer to Pulaski than they are trying to be, you know, to Kedzie and to 95th. It just all depends, right? But she was able to give me a breakdown of each quadrant of Evergreen Park. And then she was also able to give me information about Oaklawn, because even though she's not from Oaklawn, doesn't live in Oaklawn, right? Oaklawn is right next to Evergreen Park, right? So she knows the areas, the neighborhoods, the parts of Oaklawn that are highly sought after, right? She's, you know, she can say, oh, well, this spot right here that's just west of Cicero, that little area, that little neighborhood, highly sought after, right? So whenever a house pops up over there, you'll notice it'll probably sell quicker than some others, right? It's not necessarily all about the property value or the price, right? You can see a house, like for instance, you got this one that's right here by the expressway that's going for 465, right? Looks pretty nice. Looks like potential gut rehab situation, right? Real nice property, right? But there are areas, there are neighborhoods within, you know, these towns, these suburbs that are just a little bit more sought after. This agent, right? I was able to trust what she knew when it came to Evergreen Park and a lot of the surrounding area, right? Evergreen Park, Mount Greenwood, Beverly, Morgan Park, Oaklawn. You got Alsip to the south. You also have, where is it at? Blue Island down here, right? I'm able to go based on her knowledge of the surrounding area. Now, the further away you get, she's not going to have that knowledge and expertise. She can go show you the place. She could give you her, her thoughts and feelings about a place, but could she necessarily tell you everything about that neighborhood, right? For instance, I'm not a real estate agent, but me looking at this map right here, we're in Chicago now, I could tell you, and this is going to sound kind of messed up, but I could tell you exactly the spot, the area that for the most part, you're going to probably find a decent house, decent block, just overall decent area to raise a kid, right? To have your family, right? This whole little rectangle I'm sitting here drawing, if you get a property in between there, for the most part, it'll probably be pretty decent, right? That's Chatham. Here's the thing about Chatham. Here's the funny part. Chatham is not just this. Chatham is a lot larger area than what I just showed you, right? It's more than that. But people who really know the city, they will tell you, they know that Chatham, where you're trying to live, is in between really State to King Drive. You're trying to get anywhere in here. This is what you're looking for, right? Everything outside of that, I'm not saying that, oh, the properties are bad or this, that, but really in between here is what you're looking for. That's the reality, right? You notice you aren't seeing any properties that are priced at 300 something thousand plus in here, because whenever they pop up for sale, they go quick. You see a property going for 300 something thousand dollars and the quality of that home matches that price, oh, I can promise you it's going to be off the market quick. Every once in a while, you'll see a property that's a gut rehab type of property, right? That property will go up. I promise you, it's going to sell quick because people know the value of the area. They know the value of the area. So they will come in there and they're gonna buy it. Even if it's a situation of, I'm just going to buy it, fix it up, and flip it. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's the thought process on all of it. All right, I'm going to come in there, we're going to buy it up, we're going to flip it. West Chesterfield, which to me, in my mind, I still just kind of view it as Chatham. West Chesterfield is another good spot. You typically find some good houses, good people, good families. Like I said, you just got to know the city. You have a lot of, I want to say, black police officers that live in Chatham and in West Chesterfield, right? So you get a lot of police families. You get a lot of probably firefighter families that live over here in the black community, right? So everybody has their area, right? Mountain Greenwood, which, like I said, was a little bit closer over there by Evergreen Park. You get Mount Greenwood. Mount Greenwood also has a lot of police families, firefighters, city workers, right? But Mount Greenwood, I don't really know anybody who would say Mount Greenwood's a black community, right? So these are just things you learn and know just from being from the city and living in the city. You get what I'm saying? Like, everybody kind of has different spaces, different communities. I'm not saying you can't be black and live in Mountain Greenwood. I'm not saying you can't be white and live in Chatham. You can live wherever you want to live. But like I said, you want, getting back to the moral of the story, you want an agent who is familiar with different areas. If you want the suburbs, it does not make sense to get an agent who a lot of the past properties that they've helped sell were South Loop, but you're going to have them go check properties out in Tinley Park, right? It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. So you want to stick to finding an agent in that general area. Next thing, and this is meant to help out primarily Illinois residents. This is not a scam. This is very legit. It is not a scam. You can literally get this assistance. You come here, you can click on the website. Click, let's say, what happens when you click get started? So maybe not even get started. I want to show you all what's going to give you that general breakdown of the different, I guess you can say, programs and loans they have to offer. This is what you're looking for, and this is what you're looking at. Illinois HFA 1. How this works, they will give you $10K. They will give you $10,000 to help you with down payment, closing costs, any of those things. And the way it works is you do not have to pay that $10,000 back unless you refinance, sell the house or property, or 30 years go by. So if you live in that property for the next 30 years, that $10,000 is just sitting there and you won't have to pay it back until then. If you, like as of right now, we know interest rates are pretty high. If you buy a property, the interest rates, let's say the interest rate 6.5%, right? And then let's say 10 years from now, you're still in that property, but 10 years from now, interest rates are down to like 2% or something like that. You decide to refinance. Because you now refinanced, you owe that $10,000. And of course, like I said, the other one, you sell the property. Just remember, $10,000 of that sale is going to be coming back to IHDA. But this is extremely helpful. It is extremely helpful getting somebody over the hump. Extremely helpful. You could literally show up. Let's say you got $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 in your pocket, right? And you're like, I want a home, I want a house, I want a property. This is gonna add another $10,000. All you had was $10,000. Now you got 20. All you had was 15. Now you got 25. You had 20. Now you have 30. And that money's gonna go a long way when it comes to helping you secure your property. Okay. Helping you secure your property. I know they have opening doors that says a flat 6K, program length 5 years. I don't even know if this one was there when I was going through my housing search and doing all of that, but this one is actually forgivable. So a no monthly payment, forgivable down payment assistance loan, no repayment unless sold or refinanced before 5 years. So, right, there's things on here. There's different ones that help in different ways. This is what I would say you do next though, right? And this is who I have experience with. If you're going to go through IHDA and you're going to get that HFA1, when you go to apply with a lender, let's say you're up here in Chicagoland area, go with Wintrust. Go with Wintrust. I could say you can go with guaranteed rate or maybe Loan Depot, right? You have the reason why I trust Wintrust the most is primarily because Wintrust has actual physical locations in the Chicagoland area. Like Wintrust is a bank. It's a bank, right? If you're a Chicago White Sox fan, you've seen a Wintrust commercial, you've seen Wintrust advertisements around the city. You're familiar with Wintrust. That's the reason why I kind of like Wintrust, because it's like it is a Chicagoland local, right? It's Chicago, right? If you were going through Chase, here's the sad reality. You could go through Chase Bank and the person you could be talking to is all the way over in Arizona somewhere, right? Like they aren't really there. They don't really know, right? They don't. So I would say go with Wintrust. If you want to go with any one of these, guess what? All of these banks, all of these lenders, they're all on the approved list. They give you a whole ridiculous list of who you could go with to make it happen. So for instance, let's say you go with, like I said, Wintrust, or you go with Marquette Bank. That's another local one. Like Marquette Bank, they might have a couple of programs for home buyers, first-time home buyers, and things like that, right? So definitely do the research. Definitely do the research. But yeah, like I said, IHDA is legit. In this market we're in right now, I think the issue was in the past, people did not want to use IHDA because I think at one point IHDA had a higher interest rate than what the national average was. So it was like, why would I use them just to get a couple $1,000 when the interest rate is too high? Now we're in a situation where the interest rate is actually higher than IHDA's rate. So you're actually in a better situation going with IHDA, because more than likely the rate that they're going to offer you that you can lock in at or whatever will be lower than the national average, right? It has its own rate that fluctuates just like everything. Let's say the national average today is, I don't know, what's interest rates today? Let's see. Let's see. Interest rates. National average 7.23. Top offers on bank rate. Right? They're gonna always give you their little thing that, you know. But interest rates are 7.39. IHDA, their rate might be 6.25, or it just might be a flat 6. Who knows? So as of right now, their rates are better than what you're getting everywhere else. You know, there is no buying points. There, none of that. You don't have to do any of that, right? You could get the same rate that IHDA has if you got to buy a point. So you end up spending thousands of dollars trying to get the interest rate down when you could go with them. No points necessary, and get $10K to help you with closing or down payment or whatever. So yeah, it just seems like kind of common sense. I'm just trying to put people onto that.